Hello YouTube family and welcome back to the channel. Today I have a freezer meal prep video for you and I'll be making 3 dishes. We're going to start with a healthy broccoli cheddar soup. The soup is packed with veggies and is partially blended to act as the cream instead of having to make it with butter and cream. Our first step is going to be to chop up all the veggies. I'll be doing onions, broccoli, potatoes, and carrots. And also, don't mind me, I forgot to film chopping up the carrots, but I used baby ones cut into small slices. The soup will be made in the Instant Pot, so it's quick and easy. Once the veggies are chopped up, set the Instant Pot to saute and heat up about a tablespoon of olive oil, more or less if you want, depending on your preference. When it's hot, add your onions and 4 cloves of minced garlic. I use blended garlic and I always use what my preference is in each recipe. Saute for about a minute, then add a teaspoon of salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper, 1/2 teaspoon of paprika. The original recipe calls for cayenne pepper, but I couldn't find mine. And a teaspoon of dry mustard. If you don't have dry mustard, just use some Dijon mustard if you have it. Then go ahead and saute the onions until translucent and be careful not to burn them. Once the onions are ready, add all the veggies and 4 cups of chicken broth. I used a concentrated broth that you mix with hot water. Give it a quick stir, secure the lid, and set to high pressure for 1 minute. Once the 1-minute pressure cycle is complete, quick release the pressure. Just be sure to be very careful because the steam is very hot. I use a towel to cover my hand. Now that the veggies are cooked, you have a couple of options to blend the soup. You can use an immersion blender right in the pot if you have one, or a regular blender. I don't have an immersion, so I'm just using what I have, and mine is the Ninja. Mine is okay to use things that are still hot, and make sure yours is too if you're using a traditional one. I'm only doing about half the mixture because I still want to keep some of the veggies in chunks. Once this is done, I'm adding 3 cups of shredded sharp or old cheddar. The recipe says not to use pre-shredded because it won't give the same texture. And the recipe also asks for 1/2 cup of cream, but I wanted to use just what I had. In this case, I took 1/2 cup of 2% milk and added 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Give it a nice stir, set it aside to cool. After it's fully cooled, let's go ahead and put it into our super cubes. These are amazing for freezer meal prep. This particular one is marked with 125 mils and 250 mils. I'm filling them all the way up because for soup, that's just the perfect portion size for me. I'm going to cover them and leave them in the fridge for a few hours to make sure that they're fully cooled before I go ahead and throw them in the freezer. While the soup is in the fridge, I'm going to get started on the shepherd's pie or cottage pie or whatever it is that you want to call it. I'm using ground turkey, so I don't actually know what the proper name is. I'll be making 4 double portions, a casserole dish, and a small foil tray. And I'm starting by peeling and boiling 6 potatoes. Don't forget to salt the water. While the potatoes are cooking, I'm going to prep the 2 fresh vegetables that I'm using. That'll be an onion and a red pepper. The red pepper because I have it in the fridge and I want to use it up. I have this giant tube of ground turkey from Costco. This format is new to me because it used to be sold in 4 pre-portioned trays. I will say though, I'm not as impressed with the texture of this ground turkey, and you'll see why when we make our breakfast sandwiches. So I'm going to be measuring out a portion of what would be 2 of the trays. Each tray used to be 454 grams. By the magic that is YouTube, the potatoes are done, so I'm just going to go and drain them and set them aside until we're ready to mash them for the topping. For the filling, let's add some oil to the pan. I'm using olive oil, but use whatever suits you. When it's heated, add the onions and saute until translucent. You'll quickly see that I've used a pan that is too small, but we're already committed, so let's just go with it. Add the turkey when the onions are ready. I'm going to cook it halfway, then I'm going to add some crushed garlic, again to your taste. When the turkey is mostly cooked, let's go ahead and season it. I'm adding Worcestershire sauce, thyme, rosemary, salt, the chicken stock that I am making myself from the paste, and tomato paste. Now that the spices are all mixed up, let's go ahead and add the red peppers. Let them cook in there for a couple of minutes, and once they're done, throw in the frozen vegetables and we're good to go with the filling. For the topping of mashed potatoes, I made the mistake of putting them in the blender. I honestly thought it would make my life easier and this step go faster. But next time, I'll just mash them the old-fashioned way with a potato masher. I of course added garlic because, as you can probably tell by now, we love garlic in our house. I'm also adding black pepper and a little more salt. And then the key ingredient, in my opinion, is sour cream. I'll link the original recipe in the description box, but don't be shy about taking liberties in your cooking. So once again, I'll assemble these in my super cubes. I originally thought this size would be an individual portion, and it very well could be for someone with a bigger appetite, but for me, it's 2 meals when paired with a side salad or something similar. In each compartment, I put half turkey mixture and then half mashed potatoes. Smooth out both so it freezes in a nice even square. And the last step is optional, and that is to add some cheese on top. We love doing it this way in our house, but if you don't, you can certainly skip it. After I filled the super cubes, I separated the rest into 2 family-sized casserole dishes to freeze as well. And just like the soup, I'm going to throw these in the fridge to make sure they're completely cool before freezing. For our last freezer meal, I made turkey sausage, egg, and cheese breakfast sandwiches. I'm back to the sticky tube of ground turkey to make the patties. And this is exactly what I didn't like about using this versus the way it used to be packaged from Costco. I have no idea why it's so sticky this time and so hard to work with, but I powered through. I measured out what would have been one tray, so approximately 454 grams, to make the 6 patties. I added kosher salt, garlic powder, smoked paprika, and onion powder. Mix it all up and separate into 6 portions. And here is where I completely struggled with the stickiness, so please forgive what looks like my complete inability to do this simple task. Cook the flattened patties however you want. Just remember to make them about 25% larger than the bun you plan to use because they will shrink when they're cooked. Because it's poultry we're working with, I always make sure that I cook these patties all the way through, even though we'll be warming them up in the microwave. They don't take long to defrost, and I just don't want any food safety issues. Once all your patties are cooked, go ahead and make the fried eggs. I have these cute little round egg shaper things that I use, and they're the perfect size for the English muffins that I like to buy. Don't forget to season the eggs with salt and pepper, and I usually cook my egg yolks all the way through so it's easier and less messy when I freeze them. To assemble, place a piece of cheese. I'm using some of the cheddar that I have left over from the soup we just made, then the turkey patty, then the egg. Close them up. I put them in individual portion bags and then add them all to the freezer bag so they don't get exposed every time I open it up to take one out. I also am going to do that with the shepherd's pie and the soup once it's fully frozen. And to make your life a little more organized, mark the freezer bag with the meal and the date it was prepared. Okay, so I've put everything into my stand-up freezer. Please just excuse it. It's actually filthy. So here is a shepherd's pie, like single serving. Here is the family shepherd's pie, more shepherd's pie, and then these are the soups that we made. So I'll leave those probably for about 24 hours, and then I'm going to take them out and put them in Ziploc bags so that I can reuse the containers next time. I did have some turkey left over, so I'm just going to freeze it until I'm ready to use it again. And then here you'll see all the freezer meals we made today. We won't eat everything all this week, but it'll be nice to have as we need it over the next few weeks. I'll break down the cost of each meal on the blog so you can see how inexpensive it is to make great meals at home and save money in these crazy times. Thank you so much for watching today, and I can't wait for you to see what I'll be cooking next.